What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. Today, you can check us out on Apple and Spotify, and tomorrow, you can check us out on YouTube. I'm actually lying. That's both of them. You can watch. Like, subscribe, leave us some comments. We would greatly appreciate that. Website, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email us any future fitness questions, strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then, if you're looking for Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. On Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right, we got a good podcast, dude. So, is steroids cheating?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Is it really cheating?
Yeah, is it cheating? I guess it depends on what you're doing.
Dude, you know, at the end of the day, people talk about steroids and it's cheating. You still got to put in the work.
Yeah.
At the end of it, right? And I think that's the big difference is you still got to do the work. I know a lot of people who are on testosterone or steroids who don't have great physiques or do anything with it.
I saw this movie over this week called The Man Whose Arms Exploded. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's like a documentary, a quick like 45-minute one about this dude. I don't even think he was a bodybuilder. He wanted to be one though, and pretty much got, I would say, like addicted to taking testosterone essentially. And, you know, it's about how he would inject it in his bicep for whatever reason. And,
Really?
and he was, really not careful with taking the injections themselves. And so he got an infection and his arm literally like, they had to like go in there and cut his bicep in half to like release like the infection and hematoma and all that stuff inside of it. It was a fucking crazy video. But yeah, they were talking about that stuff. And you know, like, is testosterone cheating? Is it whatever? And you know, they had people who were against it and then people who take it or even advocate for people to take it in terms of like competing in bodybuilding and stuff like that. And you know, it's one of those things. I was telling one of my clients about it and they asked that question. They were like, if you take it, will you just get bigger? You know, like, will you just immediately get bigger? And I was like, I mean, you may see like a 5% increase because it just makes you more anabolic, right? Overall. So if I'm eating more, it's probably going to build more, right? But there's no chance that you're going to get fucking jacked from just injecting testosterone. You know, all those guys still had to put in the work, had to be in the gym every fucking day, all the time.
Eat right.
Eat right, hours at a time. And don't get me wrong, this guy whose arms exploded, he was super jacked, like huge. But it was funny because looking at him, I was like, if he were to compete in a competition, he wouldn't win because he doesn't look good.
Yeah.
He's huge, but there's no symmetry. There's no aesthetic to it. It's just like, how big can I fucking
Like there's
make
a
myself?
science to it.
There's science to it, right? And so to this point here is what I'm trying to get at, that there's still so much work that has to be done and so much science, like you said, that has to be put in and thought about that. I don't know. It's not just, you know, you inject yourself and you won.
Yeah, man. And I also bring this up because there's a recent study by not Lane Norton, but he reviewed it. And then if you look into it, that if you do get muscle while taking steroids and then go back and not take it at all, you tend to keep the muscle that you have. And I think we already kind of knew this anecdotally. Yeah. But now we know for sure scientifically. And it's pretty amazing to see that concept. And it's not cheating unless you don't admit it, to me, right? And I think everybody has a decision to make. But if you do decide to go on testosterone or like replacement therapy, like we are, I think a big component is first thing you got to do is change your lifestyle. If you don't do that, nothing's going to change. So like you were saying earlier, you still have to work out, you still have to eat right, you still need to sleep correctly, de-stress. And something else I learned about testosterone is timing. If you don't have consistent timing when you take it, your body's going to react differently every time. And so that's why when I come back from my vacation, I haven't told you, but I'm going to stop for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'm going to get back on it so that I can work on timing that will work permanently for me.
I think that's really important, is consistency too, because it's same thing too. If I take it, 1 week and then I forget for 2 weeks and then take it again and I'm not going to have the same effects as I would if I'm consistently taking it on a regimen or whatever, right? Like you said, that works for you. So those are things that you have to kind of think about. And I think that you had a good point too. Sort of what I said at the beginning is like, it depends on what you're doing, right? If I'm taking testosterone and I'm, I don't know, fucking cheating somehow to get into a non-performance enhancing federation, right? Well, then yeah, I'm cheating. Right. Yeah. But if I'm competing in one where they are aware or they do allow it or whatever, then it's not cheating. Right. Yeah. And it just depends. I think a big part of it, like you said, is whether or not you admit to taking it and say why you're taking it.
Yeah. And I think if you are going to take it as well, don't add exercises to your workout because you're naturally going to add volume to your workout because you're going to be stronger. So you could take the exact same program and just be on testosterone and you're going to add volume because you're going to lift more.
Yeah, you can just add it just through that, right? I guess through intensity, as you would say. You can just change that. You don't necessarily have to go and change anything, really. I mean, I haven't really changed much about how I'm training now, as opposed to when I was doing it before. And so you can do the exact same stuff the same way. And like you said, you'll naturally kind of increase that volume on your own.
Yeah, and I think something else that you got to think about when you take testosterone is working on your joints. So I've noticed, because I started later than you, my joints feeling it more. So like I purposely have a day where I lift and it's all mobility with weights. And I'm not worried about lifting heavy. I'm more worried about ranges of motion and making sure I'm strengthening my joints because my muscles have gotten this strong, but my joints lag behind. And this is what happens with a lot of athletes that you see out there who get super strong and all of a sudden they tear the pec, is because the joint doesn't catch up to the actual muscle itself.
Yeah, that was something that I learned through conversations with you and like with Dawn and stuff like that, that the muscle is going to hypertrophy a lot quicker than the joint or the ligaments, tendons are going to be able to adapt. And so you have to kind of be careful with that there. And, don't take your first injection and then go, cool, I'm going to go fucking rip some weights now. You still have to progressively overload. Like nothing really changes if you're doing it in a way that is like monitored. You're not just blasting shit like crazy. You're not on a bunch of other things, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think makes the biggest difference. In that video, they had made a comment because they had like a doctor there and it was an old video. So I would say maybe early 2000s is where the video came out. And they were saying that they think that they're going to see a lot of adverse side effects in the future from people who abuse testosterone or who even take it therapeutically, more heart attacks, more strokes, more whatever, blah, blah, blah. And as I was sitting there listening to it, I was, being in the future now, right? I was like, what's funny is that I feel like we hear less about that now. And I think it's because it's become a little more normalized. It's not this underground thing, it's not drug dealing anymore.
Yeah.
You can go to a doctor, you can get it, it's monitored. And so I was like, it's funny how the perspective had changed from then to now, to where I feel like there's rarely any of those instances now, whereas before you'd hear, this legendary bodybuilder guy died from a heart attack,
it makes me really think about everything is a dosage, that's what creates the poison, whether it's a certain medicine or opioid, or you can even go into like, I just saw something that said San Antonio was like out of 500 cities, 436, like the worst to live in. And they use these metrics. And then I was thinking to myself, we follow these things. They're like, oh, this city's good, or this is happiness. But you got to, at the end of the day, find happiness at an individual level.
Yeah.
And you got to find, where do you want to live on an individual level? What do you want access to on an individual level?
Yeah.
And that's what makes life hard, is because you got to write your own story and find where you want to go in life.
I know this is a tangent, but I wonder what they were basing it off of. What were the metrics?
There's like air pollution, food scarcity, cars and traffic versus inner city and urban areas. So
what was number one? Did you read it?
I didn't see number one.
I bet it's somewhere in California. It's always California.
But it just
propaganda.
Some people love Texas. Some people don't. Some people love San Antonio. Some people don't.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the max exodus that's happening from Austin. They're just going back to California.
Yeah.
Because they thought Texas was this haven, and it's just different difficulties, different things. You got to figure out what you like and what you don't like, instead of bashing the other side. Be like, do I want to live like this or do I want to live like that?
And, you know, as personal trainers too, we run into a lot of different types of people and from different places and everything like that. Like I know you probably have clients who aren't from here, right? And it's funny, every client I've had I've had clients from Alaska, Alabama, California, whatever. And I'll always ask them like, number one, how'd you end up here? And two, do you like it here? And everybody's like, I love it here. I think I'm going to stay. This is it. And I'm always like, that's fucking super weird.
No, some people don't like it.
Yeah,
I have one.
I can imagine. Yeah, that they fucking hate it, right? Yeah. I have one client who like, I feel like his whole goal is get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel like a majority of them honestly really like it. And I've always kind of taken it
I think you make your happiness.
That's true.
Who you're around with friends and family. Like, yeah. I think a lot of people too many times think about that. And we talk about dosage, right? And we talked about semaglutide and how it's probably at a lower dose that you need it. But Ozempic, you sent me this article.
Yeah.
1 in 8 adults take Ozempic, Mounjaro.
That's insane.
Wegovy.
Dude. That's a huge.
That is wild.
Yeah. And you know,
and I'm starting to meet people now
that have taken it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you know what's funny too is that I've been hearing about, like, you know how they'll do like medical studies, you can go and apply for them and do stuff like that there's a lot of them that are for weight loss medications now that you can take through a pill or whatever it is that are the same sort of concept. Not just like, you know, the fucking fat burners. That's not that stuff. But I was like, how many of those people are not in this, you know, that are taking that as well? Like, dude, I bet it's a huge portion of the population right now that's taking some sort of weight loss aid, you know, and that's huge, dude. 1 in 8. That's a lot of fucking people. You know?
So I met somebody who just started lifting weights and they lost a lot of weight, but dude, the amount of muscle this individual has lost, just crazy to me. And then they're like lifting super, would be considered just, my kids would do more.
Yeah.
Weight.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's very interesting.
You know
where it's going to go. Yeah. But I was talking to another trainer and we're talking about like, you know, the good part is we don't have to focus on weight loss anymore. No, we could just focus on building the body, which is a lot more pleasurable for me. Yeah. And then to teach them how to eat just properly.
That's true. I guess it does make our jobs in some ways a little bit easier, right? But I also think it can make it a little bit harder, right? Because if I'm trying to build muscle and this person isn't eating at all, you know, what do I do then? You know, how do I
But I think that's where educating yourself on this stuff and understanding like lower doses, slowly bring yourself down so that we can eat more and eventually reverse diet out.
Yeah. And I think the thing is too, like you said, like sort of that education aspect. So funny. A lot of my clients will ask me questions like, what's the best way to lift to build muscle? You know, I had one of my clients ask me that and he was like, I've always heard you should do, you know, 12 to 15 reps and you should do, you know, that's the way you should do it if you're going to start and you've never lifted before, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know, it's all just very dependent. You know, you could come in and start lifting 5 for 5, you know, or 8 for 12 or whatever it is. All of them are going to build muscle at the end of the day. It just depends on how often you're changing it through. And, you know, am I phasing it? Am I progressively overloading, etc.? But the point is that the lack of education, right? The lack of education people have, the misinformation they have, and then getting on a medication like this, already not knowing exactly what to do. You know, there's just so much. I think there needs to be way more prep for people in terms of just education in general, about what they need to do to make it successful and not end up just losing all of your muscle mass.
So, dude, I've been thinking about like an all-year program and like how to bring somebody to bring muscle. And obviously, we understand traditional training and like bodybuilding training is going to build the most muscle. Yeah. But I was like, man, where would I take a new individual? Like, how would I start them? And we talked about like doing unilateral work. And I was thinking, why don't you start with like animal flow, unilateral work, like those type of things that allow to express, you know, more range of motion. Yeah. More development of the joints, and then go into traditional training and powerlifting, strongman, and stuff like that, and like slowly build someone's muscle up over time, because they're going to build muscle when they're doing animal flow, kettlebell at the beginning. Regardless, they may not build as fast, but maybe we don't get them plateau as fast. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a theory and a thought.
No, I think it's accurate, you know, because like I was just saying too, you're going to build muscle no matter what you do, as long as you're constantly doing something and making it harder every time, right? That's like the primary thing. at its core, right? You could do any type of training, but as long as it's getting harder every time, or you're increasing the load, volume, intensity, whatever, then you're gonna adapt, right? In whatever way it is, whether you get more range of motion, right, or you build more muscle. I think those are all really good ways to do it.
Yeah. So you had to do a lot in a house this weekend.
Oh my God.
There's these books that you were like excited to show. What are they?
Okay, so you know what?
And explain them a little bit. You had to read them, right?
Yeah, I read them a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go through this. I think I'm gonna go through this one first because it kind of goes along with what we were saying in terms of like misinformation and stuff like this. So if you guys are looking on YouTube, I don't know if I can get this without any glare on it, but it says the 7-day reducing diet. Right, you can see this here. I'm going to read the little intro thing. It says the famous Lindlar plan, which has shown more than 1 million people how easy it can be to lose as much as 8 full pounds in 1 week without drugs, exercises, or starvation diets.
Bro, sign me up.
I know, you're like, give it to me. So you can already see this is very, very old. I think the copyright info on the inside says 1949. So it's an old book, right?
Yeah.
It's an old book. And so I was looking at it, and we were kind of, joking about it and stuff like that because it's a recipe book, essentially. It has a recipe for what you're supposed to do for 7 weeks. Okay. I'm sorry, for 7 weeks, for 7 days. So starting on Monday, Tuesday, you can see it. And it's funny too, all the like names.
Oh, they break down calories.
They break down calories on here. So let me read you this first one. Okay. I'm gonna hide it from you because I don't want you to see it.
Okay.
So where do they have it? Oh, there was like a page 11 in between that was like really hard to open. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the suggested breakfast that you're supposed to have every day. Okay, so it's 1 small orange, about 4 ounces, 1 small apple, about 4 ounces, 1 cup of coffee with no sugar, and half a cup of skim milk, and that's it.
Bro,
so
how am I supposed to survive?
So the total calories on that is 172.
Damn.
Okay, here we go. Hold on. I'm going to keep going through this first one. So now we are at lunch. Okay. Lunch is going to be a tomato and lettuce salad. Okay. About 4 ounces of tomato, 2 ounces of lettuce, and then I think it's 1 tablespoon of dressing. Okay. An ounce of American cheese made from skim milk. Then you're going to have half a cup of mashed turnips, half a cup of string beans, and 1 medium peach or half a grapefruit, one or the other.
Am I vegan?
And that's it.
Or vegetarian?
That's it, bro. Okay. Again. So now we're going to go to dinner.
This guy is vegetarian.
Then we're going to go to dinner. Okay. It's going to be a watercress salad. You're going to have some broiled lean round steaks. Finally, some fucking protein, right? Half a cup.
How many ounces is the steak?
3.5. Oh, shit. Half a cup of tomato and celery stewed. And then some fresh or canned pears, okay? And then before bed, you're going to have half a grapefruit. So the total calories for the entire day.
Let me guess. 850.
Bro, you're being too nice, man. 646 calories, dude. Total weight.
Oh, I said lean steak.
Yeah. Total weight for the food of the entire day is 3 pounds. And it just goes on like that. The next day is 637 calories.
You lost a lot of weight.
Right. No wonder you're going to lose 8 pounds, right? So
probably 6 pounds of water.
The thing is that I was reading this too, and I was like, because, it says right here, or starvation diets, right? I was like, come on, what the fuck? This is clearly a starvation diet, right? But it also made me think a little bit because I was like, maybe for the time, that isn't that different than what they were doing. Maybe that isn't as much food, or maybe that isn't as little food as we think. Because you look back at the 1950s and you look at people, and it's like, at least in media, you don't really see too many people who are overweight, et cetera, things like that.
They didn't eat like that, though. They had way more meat and eggs and stuff.
They did, right? I don't know.
You got to add the meat and eggs on there. Yeah, I guarantee you're at least at 1,500 to 2,000 calories.
For like a normal person, you're saying, right? And that is another thing that I noticed too.
And there's no bread.
A lot of this is there's no protein. There's no bread. A lot of it is vegan.
They ate 2,000 calories back then. Easy.
Yeah. And so it was just funny to kind of like go through and read because I was like, man, how far we've come. In terms of finally, right? Yeah. It's funny. There was this other book too that I didn't bring that was like a psychology book, and I was like, I bet it's just like if your woman's acting hysterical, send
just
her
give her a vibrator.
Give her 3 allergy pills. So, here's another book that I found. It's called How to Mold a Mighty Arm by George F. Jowett. And I looked him up, and apparently he was like, he was an editor, he was a magazine writer, but he was also a bodybuilder and did all these things. So he wrote this like little pamphlet here. And it has all these exercises that you can do to build muscle, and Edwin can see them here. I don't know if you guys can see any of these, but it has all these different exercises, and it's funny because some of them are like mobility movements that they have him do, like in the back and things like that.
I like some of these.
Yeah, I do like some of these actually. I was looking at it too, and I was like, "This is
look." He's doing at different angles.
He's doing different angles. Yep.
Without understanding the science, he's actually doing pretty well.
He's doing pretty well. Yeah. And so I was reading it, and I was like, "Man, this is pretty cool." And it even has like stuff you can do at home, like how to do dips at home, push-ups, things like that. Dips again. And so here's the part that I was kind of laughing at, and I'm going to read this to y'all. Okay. So it says, "Does your arm fill your coat sleeve? Does it measure 16 inches or more around the bicep? Your forearm measure 13.5 inches and your wrist 8 inches. These measurements should be within your reach. Even if you think your body weight is too low to make it possible to make these gains, my system of teaching will show you how they can be obtained. No course is so carefully gotten together." And then he's just like goes on about his shit.
I'm glad everybody has the same genetics.
Yeah. "Let me show you how to fill your coat sleeve with an arm packed with steel-like muscles." And what's funny is that I went and I was like, I'm going to measure my arms and stuff like that and see kind of what that looks like. And so I measured my bicep, and I think it was 13 inches. My forearm was like 11, and my wrist
16 is really huge.
And my wrist was, I think it was 7. So
puny.
I was like, yeah, puny man. And I was like, I'm not too far off from these. It's not that bad. But I was like, 16 inches is fucking huge, man. Like,
dude, 3 inches on a bicep? That's
that's a lot, dude. Circumference wise, like all the way around, it's crazy. And it has all these other things too, like, are you underweight? Are you, all this stuff. How to get a heroic 44.5-inch chest. Like, bro. Yeah. And again, an older book, but it was just funny to kind of read some of these things and see how, like in the 7-day reducing diet, how I would say like how bad that information is, right? And then to read this one, the How to Mold a Mighty Arm, and see like they were almost there, they were like on the track of like what we were kind of getting at and changing the angles, like you said, and stuff. And so just some funny books that I found, and I was like, these will go good with what we talk about.
And then you're a gun nut now?
Yeah. I love guns. I got a bunch of them now. No, I'm just kidding. We did find a gun in there. We found like a bunch of ammunition, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Man, what else did we find? We found a lot of cool like little retro lighters. Like again, a lot of the stuff was like from the 50s, like you could tell. Just a lot of cool little things you find when you're like fixing up a house. The homeowner came and took a lot of the stuff that was theirs and stuff, so there's not too much left. But it's been a cool experience, man. Very, very tiring. But we're getting there, and it'll be all worth it.
Dang, dude. So I was watching Star Wars this past weekend, and it made me think, dude, we're in Star Wars right now.
How so?
Because one side believes they're right, the other side believes they're right. We call this one the dark side. We call this one the Republic.
Yeah.
Democrat, Republican, right?
Whoa.
So I was watching it was the cartoon versions, and there was one with Doku and how he became evil. And so there was like corruption. And so he believed he was almost going to go crazy the first time. I don't know if you've seen the Empire, like how...
I've seen all the movies.
You ever seen the cartoons?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of the cartoons, yeah.
So in the cartoon, he literally in the first episode was like getting upset because this guy's corrupt and he wants to do the right thing. And then he goes, the next cartoon episode, he goes back to the Jedis, but they're not really doing anything. And then he ends up like meeting the Sith Lord from there, Palpatine, right? And then he's like,
swooped in.
Yeah, he swooped in. He's like, they're not going to do anything to like help people, and we're to help people. It's crazy how we believe from each perspective we're doing the right thing and we're right and we're so just, when in reality it's just a perspective and a viewpoint.
And also like how when you're desperate, you kind of take those like extreme measures to try and make something happen, especially when you feel like no one's listening to you. Right, nothing's happening, no one's getting anything done and stuff, and it like pushes people to that point where you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it myself,
Yeah,
and so, by any means necessary.
What happened this weekend, right? The attempt. Dude, it's crazy how quickly people pick a side, whether it's conspiracy theory or it's staged or was it real, and they're really after him, and I'm just like, crazy how they pick a side based on their biases. Because
Yeah.
I had so many conversations about it, and I'm just like,
God.
how can you pick something without knowing the actual information? It's like when I go on Reddit and someone's trying to give advice to other people in the comments about their situation with their husband or girlfriend. Well, you don't know anything that leads up to them.
Break up with them. There's never. How much you have a conversation?
Or like you're seeing it from one person's point of view versus the other.
Or truly,
what
what
was
you're
the
doing,
actual communication, right?
You're seeing it from your point of view, right?
Yeah.
That's what ends up actually happening. Yeah. I saw a bunch of stuff about that too. It's crazy that it even happened at all. I didn't think.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it truly is. I mean, I can't remember the last time that there was like an assassination attempt on somebody.
Well, just ask Mexico. They had a bunch.
Oh yeah, you're
Remember?
right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot we talked about that. The thing is that I'm seeing stuff. So I don't know if you saw any of the I don't want to say controversy, but just like stuff that happened with the musical group Tenacious D. Have you seen anything about that?
No, I have not.
So they're a comedy group, right? They're satire, they're funny, they do music. It's Jack Black and Kyle Gass, right? Those are the two people. And Kyle Gass, who's like his second part, made a joke on stage at one of the concerts, and it was his birthday. And he said that his birthday wish, hidden quotes, right? I'm not saying this. He said, "Next time, don't miss," is what he said in the quote. A joke. I'm sure.
People made shirts like that.
Dude, people lost their shit. Like at this point, Tenacious D is broken up. Jack Black said that he couldn't believe what he said, that he would never condone violence in any way, blah, blah, blah. Kyle Gass has made all these statements. They cancel all their tours, like all this shit. And I was like, what the fuck?
Off of saying one thing.
Off of saying one thing. And also the thing that scares me, and I think that this is like a quote from someone, is like when they start like silencing people like comedians and things like that, is when you really got to be careful. Because
that's when tyranny
happens. Because it's like, to me, I'm like, dude, they got songs that are...
Well, that happened in COVID.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that's going to come back?
Yeah. And I was like, man, if Tenacious D can't make a fucking joke about something, like... What is happening right now? And also, why are we holding them to such a high standard? Like their
job is supposed to be
their
funny.
job is supposed to be funny, make jokes
and
about
he was
shit.
probably saying it in a joke manner. He wasn't serious.
Yeah, he wasn't like, fucking kill him next time. You know what I mean? Like, and now, and the thing is too that I bet that Jack Black doesn't even actually care. But he has to
pretend.
He has to pretend this way. He has to act this way. They have to cancel other tours because they got to be like, oh, we actually are sensitive to this and blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and if this happened in fucking 2000 or 1990, everybody would have fucking laughed and not given a shit. But I don't know. Maybe I'm getting older, but people are weak.
Oh, dude, you're weak.
Yeah. I don't have a 16-inch bicep. That's what my problem is.
So, dude, I'll tell you an interesting story.
Okay.
I read this article and everything. There's this girl, she's an OnlyFans person, and she allowed AI to start taking over her conversations. So she wasn't even having conversations with them.
Whoa.
So she's like racking in tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, because she can have 10 conversations at a time.
Yeah. Then she started reading what the AI was doing. The AI was like supporting dark messages to men who were like, I'm going to rape you and stuff like that. And so she had to shut it off.
Whoa.
It's wild.
That's crazy.
And to think like, oh, we know what AI is doing. No, dude.
Did these people know that they were speaking to an AI?
I think we're really good at faking that we are speaking to someone real. And so it's just like when people watch porn, they think it's like almost real, right? Or when they talk to OnlyFans model, they think they're actually, even though if they're talking to someone, they think this is like a real relationship. Like we're really good at fooling ourselves.
Yeah.
And that happens every day. That's why fitness is hard and like to convey our message is because you have these extreme examples and people are like, this is what it is, right? And
I also wonder if it brings up like conversations of like, I don't really want to say false advertisement, but not actually giving a product that they're expecting. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if these people found out like, oh, I was just speaking to an AI.
Yeah, but they're seeing some dark stuff.
Yeah. Maybe they don't give a shit, right? Maybe they want that. I don't know, man. That's crazy.
But it just shows you, I think people are more extreme online. Like that would never happen in real life. And that's why people who make comments on Reddit would never make that comment to a person in real life. It's just there's no accountability when you're not in real life.
I forgot. It was like some famous boxer, MMA guy, and he was like, people forgot what it's like to be punched in the face.
I agree.
Yeah.
People do. No, I'm not going to say it's going to get us canceled. I'll go say it off here. But...
we'll just say you were an AI and you said it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's AI's putting this in my mouth.
Yeah.
So the last thing before we go into studies is there's an article out, weightlifting in your 60s helps preserve your muscle. And you can still
was
build.
On like Apple News. Yeah. One of my clients sent it to me.
Yeah. And it's, so there's that, right? There's also shown like cognitively, you don't decline as much as you think. The problem is you stop using your brain.
Right.
And it's amazing to me because if you look at the contrast difference when people retire, the person who picks up a hobby or never retires tends to do better. But I've had people who recently retired, and you could tell the difference who keeps hobbies, who keeps themselves going, who keeps on reading versus the person who stays stagnant.
Yeah. And it can be anything too. Like my grandmother likes to play like phone games, like little puzzles and things like that. And I'm like, I think that stuff is important. It's funny. I was talking to Camille about this the other day. And she was saying how even though some people do pick up hobbies or have things like that, if they're doing the same thing habitually over time, that it doesn't actually help. And it's the same way she was kind of putting it in terms that I could understand, right? So she was talking about weightlifting, and she was like, it's like if you did the same workout for 3 years, you know, your body doesn't make any progress. It might stay the same, maybe, right? But at some point you're going to start to decline or maybe even go backwards, right? And you have to constantly change things or make them harder or do something different or whatever it is. And so she was just saying that like even older people who you may think are like, oh, well, they do good, right? They do a puzzle every day. But if it's the same damn puzzle, or if they're not making it any harder or something like that, then they're not actually kind of progressing in that way. And I thought it was just like, everything's like training, man, everything.
Yeah. So she's learned to talk to you then, huh?
Yeah. It's funny too, because my therapist was talking to me one time, and we were talking about anxiety and like how to get over it and things like that. And she was like, honestly, it just comes to this point where you sort of have to just keep reiterating to yourself and teaching your brain that, you know, nothing's going to happen or this isn't going to happen or whatever. And as I was sitting there, I was like, oh, okay. So it's like, you just got to put the reps in. And she was like, I like that you always do that. You always make it like a weightlifting thing. And I was like, God damn it.
So, okay, let me get this straight. Camille's learned how you talk. Right? Yep. So she tells you, look, when we start the day, I need you to pretend like it's a pre-workout, right? You take a pre-workout every time before you work out.
Like it's your
so it's before the day. You got to give me a kiss before you leave. It's like a pre-workout.
Stop, bro, because now I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. I get it.
That's why she wants to kiss every morning.
Yeah. Got to talk to me like a fucking gym bro, and I hate it, bro. What happened to me, man?
What? Macros?
Yeah. What?
It's like protein.
Yeah.
A hug is like a protein. It's necessary for vital life.
It builds the relationship, just like protein does.
And there's many different types of hugs. There's a side hug. So that's like leucine.
And they're all important, I'm all, like, this makes me want to fucking work out.
We should do a whole episode like that. Like relationships and like put it back into fitness.
Dude, I've had so many guys who be like, I get it now.
Oh, shit.
Let's do it, bro.
So pretend you're like a traditional bro and you don't like doing like animal flow.
Yeah.
But you need to do animal flow to make your joints better. That's like taking your girlfriend out on a date.
That's so dumb, dude.
You like that though, huh?
Everybody would be like, damn, this shit works.
It works, dude. It works.
Let's be relationship counselors.
All right, so the first study, same workout, different weight loss, signal molecule versions are.
Oh.
That's the title of it. So some people lose weight slower than others after workouts, and research team found for a reason. The study happens to be in mice that cannot produce a certain signal molecule that responds specifically to short-term exercise and regulate the body energy metabolism. These mice consume less oxygen during workouts, burn less fat, and thus also more susceptible to gaining weight. Since the team found this connection also in humans, the newly gained knowledge of the mechanisms might provide a pathway for treating obesity.
So they're saying that exercises. So
we could do the exact same exercises, but yet you could burn, and we know this to be true. You could burn, let's say 500 calories. I may burn only 200 because I am not outputting as much oxygen as you.
So oxygen is the thing that plays the role here.
So it plays a role here, right? We know this true because there's hard gainers, and there's people who gain fat, and then there's people who lose fat slowly and people who lose fat fast.
Right.
I just think we need to stop studying this stuff and be like honest. Like I know I'm a person who is really hard to lose weight. So I'm going to have double or triple the consistency of somebody else who may lose fat fast.
Yeah.
But my positive is for me to gain muscle and retain muscle is a lot easier than the opposite person. So we have different difficulties and learn how to work on your difficulty.
Yeah. And I think that's important too, to accept it and not, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like hate it, because a lot of the times, you know, when I have couples who train together or just people who train with friends and things like that, they're always like, man, it's so easy for them to do this, or why are they losing so much more weight than I am, or whatever. And sometimes it fucking sucks, but like sometimes you just have to put in more work. That's just the way it is, right? Genetically, you know, like for this guy here in the book that I was just reading, for him to have 16-inch bicep and 13 and a half, whatever, it may have been easy. And that's probably why he's like, anybody should be able to do this, right? Because for me, I was able to do it and it was easy. So what's the problem here, right? But it's just that for me to get to that, I might have to train for 6 more years, you know, and really dedicate some time to building a mighty arm. You know,
the mighty arm.
Yeah. And it just sort of depends, and everybody's different genetically, right? And I think, like you said, you know, also have the same genetics, right? And I think that's a huge portion of it. And some things are going to be easier for me that, you know, that are maybe harder for you, and vice versa.
Just like my legs are going to be bigger than yours.
No, that's a lie. You know, it's a lie. I have a mighty leg.
Yeah. All right, let's do some measuring.
No, but I measured my leg too. I measured it the other day. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like 20.
Are we talking about the third leg or the leg?
My quad, all right.
Quad,
my
okay.
ham hock, you know, I forgot what it was. I think it was like 23. I think it was 23 inches or 26 inches or something like that.
Dude, I haven't been 23 inches since I was 13.
Bro, that's the way I was born, dude.
I came out of like that with ham hocks. My mom was like, is that a ham coming out?
Yeah. Is that a ham hock?
All right. So second study, could a dietary supplement offer a long-awaited treatment for food allergy sufferers?
Ooh.
So a study has identified a potential new treatment for food allergies and insulin and naturally occurring plant fiber commonly used as a supplement, a prebiotic in soda and a replacement sweetener, and the other products and purposes.
What?
This will be a cool thing if it's true. And it ends up working out. It's a certain fiber product. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I should have put it on there. But they've shown promise in people who have, like, let's say peanut allergies. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they give them this with the peanut and allergies are gone.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Do they say like how it works specifically?
They said they're still figuring it out.
Wow, dude, I'll take that. So I can finally have a fucking pecan again.
Get you some nuts in your mouth.
Yeah, dude. I'll be shoving those things in there.
Yeah. I know you like to be that gay guy. It's okay. So it's accepted in the world today.
I can have nuts in my mouth now?
Yeah. You're going to be like, more nuts. Is it all nuts that you're allergic to?
No. So, well, yes, I guess so. Tree nuts.
So you can't have almonds.
No, I can't have almonds, hazelnuts,
but you can have peanuts because it's not
peanuts
a tree
are a bean, so I can have peanuts. As long as I have peanuts, I'm all right.
Okay.
If I couldn't have peanuts, I'd cry.
Did you say penis or peanut?
Penis. Who knows, man? Who knows?
A little bit of both. All right. Before we go into the fitness questions, if you like what we're doing, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple, Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also on YouTube, you can subscribe down below, leave comments as well, and smash that like button. Then, if you're looking for a website, it's strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us future fitness questions. Then, if you're looking for us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, it's Strength Solutions Podcast. And guess what? If you want us on Instagram, I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
All right. So first question. Is it okay to work out and just have fun with no goals?
What the fuck is wrong with you, man? You want a mighty arm or what?
Want a mighty arm? You don't want a ham hock?
Yeah. Is that a hawk sound?
Yeah, this is close.
I was about to say a ham sound.
Ham sound sounds like this.
You're right.
No, you know, I think actually people who have the best long-term health have fun with their workouts. Yeah. And it's not about aesthetics always. Sometimes it's about performance. Sometimes it's about, I just want to feel good, mobility, make sure I'm eating well. I think too many times we think we have to have this goal. And then you stress out about this goal. You never reach the goal, or you reach a goal and then you don't make a new goal and then you go backwards.
Yeah, I think the people that have the longest career in lifting are the people that just do it for fun, right? Yeah. And I think that the goal, so like my favorite thing is when people come in and they just go, I just want to feel better. I'm like, fucking awesome. Because number one, I'm not gonna lie, it does make my job a lot easier, right? Because I don't have to be all like, fuck, I gotta reach this goal by this time or whatever. But it also just means that we're gonna have a lot more fun, like literally working out.
But don't you feel like they do make more progress because they're not so stressed about it?
They do make more progress, yeah. And it's when it's a loose goal is what I would say. Like I know some people might say that that's weak, right? Or that you need to have a goal or you're not trying hard enough or whatever it is. But I'm like, or at least if you do have a goal, you have a long time period for it. I think it's those short-term goals that end up wrecking you and the long-term goals that keep you going. Like you said, yeah, I have clients who are just like, I just want to be as jacked as possible in the next 3 years because I'm moving back home or something. And I'm like, cool, man, then we're just going to fucking lift 3 days a week for the next 3 years. And guess what? You're probably going to get super jacked. You know, let's work on your protein or whatever it is.
Let's get you some steroids.
Yeah. Let's start injecting in your bicep and let's fucking go. You know,
I mean, you might have to cut it in half.
Yeah, but that's not our problem right now, you know? No, I think it is okay. I think that it might even be the real answer there. I think that's preferred.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2. I'm an athlete and I have a strong core, but yet I land during my jumping exercises and I have back pain. What are some reasons this happens?
My first thought would be to go to how you're landing. Are you absorbing force?
Yeah, that's
correct. Or you're just kind of dead legging it and just
like it really comes to activation. Like all because you can do all these movements and maneuver your body does not mean you're strong in other aspects. And so when you're landing, are you dropping into it and absorbing force? Or are you stiff? Or is your core relaxed?
Yeah,
like maybe you're absorbing, but then your core is relaxed and it collapses.
Because I could sit here and say, I have a really strong core, I lift a lot, whatever, but I don't use it as much in that sort of impact way, right? That jumping way, up and down, things like that. So it's almost like I have to learn how to use my core in a totally different way now, right? Learn when to activate it, how to keep it active through a jump or through a land, those types of things. So you may have a strong core, but now you may need to learn how to use it in a different way.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. This morning I had a client, we did sit-ups, but we did an eccentric portion slowly.
Okay.
And I was like, try to get each vertebrae as you're coming down, one by one, all the way through.
On that.
And he was like, dude, this is so hard. We only did 4 reps.
Yeah.
And he was like, I feel a lot more in my core. I was like, well, that feeling is what you should be feeling when you do a regular sit-up and you're controlling through it.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be as strong. And I was just telling him, like, you have to learn how to do both because sometimes you have to be stationary. So sometimes you do have a rounded back when you deadlift. You have to be stationary. It'll keep the body safe. Or maybe you need to be a little bit more fluid as you're picking something up off the ground and you're extending. You got to use that core to bring it up versus your back. And that's a possibility in real life too. Let's say I pick up a box and it's a bigger box and it's an awkward shape. Well, I could start out curved over the top, but then I have to extend my body as I come up because I can't grab it like this if I'm not putting myself back a little bit.
Right position. Yeah. It's funny. I was watching a Squat University video the other day and it was about like core stuff or whatever. And then he like went into this talking and he was like, if you're trying to use your core for stability and blah, blah, blah. I was reading the comments and somebody in the comments was like, bro, not every core movement has to be for stability. And I kind of laughed because I was like, he does do a lot about that. He wasn't also saying that either. So I was like, chill out also. But it's one of those things like you're saying, where there's so many different activations and ways to use the core. Stability is important when maybe we're doing traditional lifting, but we're not always traditionally lifting, you know?
Yeah, like I like your dysfunctional patterns guy. He's talking about lifting stuff, but he's wrong as well when he disregards like little movements.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think people need to realize it's a lot more complex. It's all about what stimulus do I want to derive from my brain to activate, and what is my goal at the end of the day. Just like I sent you the 90 degrees guy, this is way better than an Olympic lift. Why? Why is it better?
And like, you know, I could also say it's not better because, well, they can't load as much. Right? Maybe they're not activating the whole compound movement. You know, there's so many like,
or maybe an athlete needs to explode from the bottom and you're only 90 degrees down, you're not teaching that range of motion.
And so now they've missed it.
Yeah.
You know, and
what sport? What am I doing? Like, like there's so many complexities.
Doesn't matter, bro, because it's 90 degrees. So that's all that matters. Yeah. It healed my body.
Should I be sitting in a 90 degree?
Just always.
Third question. What are ways to improve your mobility that doesn't require static stretching?
Active stretching.
Honestly, this is where I like weights.
Yeah,
Put a
like how you were
light
saying,
load.
right?
Take a light load, let the weight pull you down, come all the way through. This is where like a Jefferson curl plays a really good role. The problem is people get too much into this and then they go super
and they start
heavy.
treating it like a real, like a big compound movement. It reminds me of our Magnify program and the mobility days in between. I always thought it was weird when I first did it because I was like, what the hell am I using weights and why am I doing these exercises and stuff? And I would try and like, I guess you should in some ways, but I would try and progress them. You know, like I remember the renegade rows or things like that, or like, you know, like doing a push up with rotation and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, it's not about trying to see how much weight I can lift or how many push ups I can do or whatever it is. There's a different way to progress those. And I prefer movements like that. Like, so I've been doing a lot of moving this weekend. Coming up and down, my back's been fucking hurting, my neck's been hurting. The other day, I was like, you know what? I had time to work out, and I've been missing working out because I haven't done it this week because I just haven't had time. But you know what I did? I sat and did like 30 minutes of mobility, and that shit fucking felt awesome. I was like, I feel so much better. Yeah,
that's good. All right, last question. What are 5 supplements everyone should take? What are your 5?
Ooh, let's see. Everyone should take. That's an interesting way of putting it.
Even though we don't believe in that. We believe in get your blood work, do it individualized.
Yeah. I'm going to say...
But what are your 5 most common supplements?
My first one is going to be fiber. I think everybody should be taking a fiber supplement. A multivitamin, you know, especially if you aren't going to get your blood work. You just want to take everything and just get like a kind of a shotgun at it. Magnesium has changed my life. I think that's a really good one. I took some last night and bro, I was like immediately.
Yeah, the dark dream.
I was talking to the AI bot. Magnesium. So fiber, multivitamin, magnesium. I'm trying to think of some other ones here.
I think there's 2 that you're missing that are obvious.
2 that I'm missing that are obvious. Supplements. I guess, can I say sodium?
Yeah, you can say something.
Yeah,
that's not the ones I thought.
Yeah. I might say that, and I guess it depends on how you eat though, because if you're eating a lot of processed food, then probably not. No, and I don't know.
Good thing you said that because they would have clipped it for YouTube. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
This guy eats sodium all the time.
So okay, protein, creatine.
Okay, yeah.
Come on, bro. These are the most obvious 2.
I don't know
if
I would
2 I would give almost every
I don't know
client.
if I would say creatine, but I would say protein.
No,
I'll say protein.
Dude, you need to do more research on creatine because it's beneficial like
You're
across
telling
the
me
board.
not everybody's eating a steak every day?
Most people do not eat a steak every day.
They're eating the 7-day reducing diet. That's what they're
probably.
doing.
Honestly, creatine is probably more valuable to my female clients than my male clients.
For sure. Yeah.
Because they, for whatever reason, a lot of women don't like
red meat.
Red meat. They don't have chicken, fish, or whatever. I don't know.
Losers.
So those 2.
Eat a steak.
Multi. Fish oil.
Oh, that's a good one.
You missed it. That's all right.
I could only have 5 anyway. There's like 3 that I didn't even choose.
Fish oil, and then the last one would have to be a fiber supplement because I'm learning more and more people are fiber deficient.
And I didn't know that it helped with cholesterol levels so much, which I think that we have a lot of issues with now, right? Especially in San Antonio. So eat some fiber, damn.
Well, I mean, I eat plenty of fiber. It's just, it's just hard to come by it, you know, like when you're in a crunch or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you like what we do, please share, like, subscribe. We're on Apple, Spotify. You can rate and review us. Also, look up on YouTube and smash that button. Hit the like, subscribe down below, leave comments. Then, if you are looking for a place to buy programs, buy or get free blogs, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. Facebook questions. No, sorry. Email questions. strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions.
Until next time, guys. Hashtag.